Hello, I'm Steve Shaw, National Coordinator of Football Officials and Secretary Rules Editor for the NCAA. And today we're continuing our series of training videos for the 2023 season, and we're going to be focused on game action from Week 3. Now, I want to say thank you for another solid week of performance. We did a great job, but the intensity begins to ratchet up with more conference versus conference games, and we've got to match that intensity in our performance. So let's get ready to perform well this week, and let's build as we go through the season. Now, I've received a number of questions. Are targeting fouls up for the season, or it seems like targeting is up? So what are the facts? Through Week 3, we've had 50 targeting fouls enforced in FBS in 253 games. So that's right at 0.2 targeting fouls enforced per game, or maybe better said, one targeting foul in every 5 games. And as you know, our last 3 years, the annual trend has been down, and that's good for the game. And we finished 2022 at 0.16 targeting fouls enforced per game. And that's a lower number than where we are right now at 0.2. But here's what we know. And as we look at these two charts, what you're going to see is this is broken down targeting fouls by week in the season. And you see early in the year, the targeting fouls are higher than on the backside of the year. Now, there's a lot of theories for this. Coaches say they get an opportunity to coach up on plays they don't get in scrimmages like sliding ball carriers, live quarterbacks. But for whatever the reason, the back half of the season, the targeting fouls do go down. And even though we're at 0.2 right now, higher than last year, if you look at this point in last season, we're right on target. And if our trend holds and the targeting fouls go down on the backside of the season, then I would say, no, targeting fouls are not up. But we must continue to do a great job on all player safety rules, but especially in targeting. We've got to do our job and put the marker down when it's there. So with that, let's get straight on into our plays. Our first play this week, the game is on the line, it's 4th down, and we can see the forward stake of the chain with the line to gain just inside the 10-yard line. Now, the quarterback throws a complete pass over the middle. The receiver is hit and tackled almost immediately, very close to the line to gain. Initially, the headline judge comes in with what appears to be a really good spot, but then he's going to drift forward and ultimately spots the ball at the 9-yard line, which would be an incorrect spot. And as we look at the play again, just after the receiver catches the ball, he's hit, and the ball looks to be across the 10, but nowhere near the 9-yard line. Now, we're going to get a measurement, and we see that the ball is spotted right at the 9. It's well beyond the line to gain. We rule first down on the field. Now, replay is going to stop the game for review, and this is where it gets interesting. When we go back to the start of the series, and we're seeing the first play of the series, the ball is clearly spotted right at the 19, making the line to gain the 9-yard line. Now, if the ball had been spotted properly on the catch just inside the 10, it would have been too close for replay to deal with the line to gain where the chain was. But replay, knowing the line to gain was really the 9 and knowing the ball never got near the 9, they're going to overturn this to short of the first down. Now, there are 2 learning points from on the field. Number 1, let's get a good spot, stay strong with it, and don't drift. And then number 2, and especially when the game is on the line, let's make sure that we get our chains set properly. That's so important. Play 2, I want to talk about our players' uniforms and specifically their pants. Now, we see on this play a completion into the boundary, and as the player, number 2, comes back, we get a good view of his pants. Now, I want to frame this conversation with we're not trying to turn you into the uniform monitor, but when a player is significantly out of scope with their uniform, a player like we see here, we need to act. Now, a specific note, this is not a new point of emphasis or a directive, and I don't want us to overreact, and I don't want this to impact our concentration from our primary job, officiating the game. But when we see a player like this receiver, or from another game, we see a punt returner with short pants like we see here. So when a player is significantly out of scope, let's find downtime in the action, a TV timeout, a natural break in the game, pregame, or even halftime. But let's ask the player to comply and alert the coach. Now, the 2 players we have seen here They are the standard for how we want to react and what we'll react to. Other players that are not as significantly out of scope, we're not going to deal with. So let's work without disrupting the game to see if we can get these egregious offenders cleaned up somewhat. Finally, it's very important that we use our winning words in dealing with players and coaches on this matter. Play 3, we're midway through the third quarter, and we get a surprise onside kick. And we're going to see that the kicker hits a slow roller, and he's patient to let the ball go 10 yards. And then there's a scramble for the ball, and then we have to dig it out to really see who has possession here. Now, we determined that the kicking team did recover, but initially we point the wrong direction. But we get it sorted out, and we're going to point the proper direction, indicating that the kicking team did indeed recover the ball. Now, as a crew, let's talk about situations when we have to do a dig out. And I would first say, if we see who recovers and then humanity comes on top of them, we don't need a dig out. Let's signal and go. But in these situations where we have to dig it out, let's signify color of the team who recovered the ball. So orange ball, and then let the referee or another covering official that's not involved in the dig out signal the direction. We'll get it right the first time, and that'll look better. Now, replay is going to stop the game on this. In addition to all their duties, they must verify that the blocks by the kicking team are legal. And so by rule, we know the kickers can't block until they can legally touch the ball. And we're going to see a kicking team player here. He actually blocks receiver number 87 before the ball has gone 10 yards. So it's clearly an illegal block. And since the kickers recovered, the receiving team will accept the 5-yard penalty, which will be enforced 5 yards from the previous spot, and the kicking team will re-kick. Play 4, we see the offense is in scrimmage kick formation, and they're going to punt. Now, the kicking team has a 3-man shield, and we see that number 23 of the receiving team, he attempts to leap the shield in order to block the kick. Now, we know that the rule says that it is a foul if a defensive player inside the tackle box tries to block a punt by leaving their feet and leaping into the plane directly above the frame of the body of an opponent. Now, they can leap through a gap, but here, this player is definitely in the plane above really both 68 and 85, and this is really why the rule was put in place. It's a player safety rule because we saw that the leaper was getting flipped and landing on their head. Very dangerous. But in this play, the player flips completely over, lands on his backside, but this is a personal foul for leaping. Play 5 is a 2-play vignette concerning substitutions on field goal plays. Now, the first play we're going to look at, the offense is down 1 point, 26 seconds left in the game, and they snap the ball to center it for a potential field goal try. But the offense just stays out on the field, they delay, and then finally at the last moment the field goal team comes running out and the referee goes into the tee. Now remember, the rule is in place to always allow the defense to match up when the offense substitutes, but we have an approved ruling 352 Roman numeral 7 that allows the offense at the end of a half to immediately hurry its field goal team on, and the defense should reasonably expect that Team A will try a field goal. It should have its field goal defense ready, and we don't go through the substitution process. The approved ruling just below, Roman numeral 8, gives a situation similar to what we have just looked at, and it allows the defense the opportunity to match up if the offense delays in sending its field goal unit out. So the referee was correct here with the tee. And our second play, very similar situation. The offense spikes the ball, the clock stops, but the play clock continues to run. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the special teams coaches were thinking on the sideline, but finally we're going to see as they stand there, the head coach is going to run in and tell them they got to get out on the field. The play clock is running. But they were too late, and the play clock actually ran out just as they were getting out. But this would be another play situation where we would go into our substitution mechanic to allow the defense to match up. So anytime when Team A delays, the defense can't be totally sure if the offense is going to stay out and run a play or the field goal team is coming in, so they're afforded the opportunity to match up. Play 6, and this is really a concentration play. Now the offense has 4th down, and they're going to punt. and we're going to see confusion on the sideline. And then the 11th offensive team player, he runs out late. He does get to his team side of the ball, but he never stops, never breaks stride, and then he releases downfield after the snap. And as we watch the action again, we see that the line judge, he steps in, seems to recognize this, but he's just going to let it go. And I know it's odd, but we need to shut this down for a false start. Obviously, the offensive team never came to a complete stop, and this is an illegal shift that would convert to a false start. So let's stay alert to these type situations. Play 7 is a great job by our umpire and a very good illustration of our 2 player safety rules protecting the snapper on kicks. Now, we see the offense is going to try a long field goal. They kick it and it's good. But our first player safety rule protecting the snapper, as we know, is that any defensive player within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage must be aligned completely outside the frame of the body of the snapper. And we see the umpire here. He comes in, reminds the player, and then defensive player number 7 comes up and actually helps realign his teammate to ensure that there's no foul. So good job there. But the other player safety rule for the snapper is that no defensive player may initiate contact with the snapper until 1 second has elapsed after the snap. And we see here both defensive players go right into the snapper immediately after the snap. And this is a good call by our umpire for a personal foul. And the kicking team, as we know, they can have the penalty enforced from the previous spot, keep the ball with an automatic first down, or they can keep the 3 points for the field goal and have the 15 yards enforced on the succeeding kickoff. Our last play, and it's another illustration of how we continue to do a great job with our number 1 player safety rule, targeting. We're going to see the quarterback, he scrambles out to the right, throws to the end zone, and the pass is incomplete, but the quarterback takes a big hit. Now, as we go back and take a look, we see defender number 8, he comes in late, he's high, and he punishes the quarterback into the ground, and the referee makes the call for a personal foul, roughing the passer. Now, replay is going to take a look, and they're going to stop the game to review for a potential targeting foul here. And as we evaluate the action, we know that we do have a defenseless player as a quarterback has just released the ball. We have an indicator of targeting as we see the defender lowers his head, attacks up and high to the quarterback, and then there is forcible contact to the head or neck area of that defenseless player. So all aspects of targeting can be confirmed, and then we're going to initiate the targeting from the booth, and number 8 is disqualified. Good job overall. Well, that's it for our plays this week. Some good situations that we can learn from and build upon as we go forward. And as we move into week 4, our game begins to turn to conference versus conference type games. And these games will require not only our full attention, but they will demand our utmost performance. So let's not let down on our pregame meetings as a crew. That's what gets us mentally ready to work a great game. And remember, quality fouls, make it be there, and be good dead ball officials. That's so important as the intensity of our games build. Display your integrity, courage, and poise. Let the tight situations reveal your true character. And above all else, let's keep hustling.